Welcome to the second part of our video lesson tutorial on data types and variables in C programming. In our previous video, we discussed the concept of variables and data types. We also learned how to declare and initialize char variables for single characters and character arrays, commonly referred to as strings. In addition, we learned how to display them using the printf function statement together with the correct format specifiers such as %c and %s. For this part of the lesson, we will continue with the two remaining data types, int and float. The int data type is used to store whole numbers such as ages, quantities, and scores without decimal values. Meanwhile, the float data type is used to store decimal numbers such as grades, averages, heights, and measurements. Just like in our previous examples, we will learn how to declare, initialize, and display these data types using the correct format specifiers in printf. So now, let's begin coding and see how int and float variables work in C programming. Below the string variable, let's declare an integer variable. Type int age equals 18, then end the statement with a semicolon. Next, add another printf function statement. Inside the quotation marks, type I am %d years old. Outside the quotation marks, type a comma followed by the variable name age. Then let's add \n from our previous statement. After adding the code, compile and run your program again. You will now see the age displayed on the screen. The int data type is used for whole numbers, and %d is the format specifier used to display integer values in printf. Next, let's add a float variable. Below the integer variable, type float weight equals 52.5, then end the statement with a semicolon. Now add another printf statement. Inside the quotation marks, type my weight is %f. Outside the quotation marks, type a comma followed by the variable name weight. Compile and run your program once again. You will now see the weight displayed with decimal values. However, there are 6 decimal places. How are we going to show 2 decimal places? Go back to the code, retype %.2f. The .2 is to show 2 decimal places. Compile and run the program again. Now it has 2 decimal places. The float data type is used for numbers with decimal points, and %f is its format specifier. The point 2 before f tells the program to display 2 decimal places. At this point, your program can now store and display different types of data using variables and format specifiers in C programming. What if we have multiple variables with the same data type? Do we need to write the data type repeatedly? The answer is no. In C programming, variables with the same data type can be declared in a single line by separating them with commas. For example, instead of writing int age equals 18, int year equals 2026, int score equals 15, we can write int age equals 18, year equals 2026, score equals 15. This approach makes the code shorter, cleaner, and more organized. It also helps programmers manage variables more efficiently, especially in larger programs with many data values. Another important thing to remember is proper variable naming. Variable names should be descriptive and meaningful, so the code becomes easier to read and understand. For example, using variable names like age, weight, or fname is much better than using unclear names like x, y, or a. Descriptive variable names help programmers quickly identify the purpose of a variable, making the program easier to maintain, debug, and improve in the future. As beginner programmers, developing good variable naming habits is an important step toward writing clean and professional code. Now let's discuss the basic rules in naming variables in C programming. First, a variable name must begin with a letter or an underscore. It should not start with a number. Second, variable names cannot contain spaces. If you want to separate words, you may use an underscore or combine words together, such as first_name or first name. Third, special symbols such as %, ampersand, @, or hyphen are not allowed in variable names. Fourth, variable names are case sensitive. This means that age, and age are considered different variables in C programming. Lastly, avoid using reserved words or keywords in C, such as int, float, char, or return, as variable names, because these words already have special meanings in the language. Following these rules will help you avoid errors and make your programs more organized and easier to understand. We will now proceed to activity number 2, titled Data Types and Variable Initialization. For this activity, you will create a simple C program that uses the different data types we discussed in this lesson. In addition, make sure to use \n for creating new lines and \t for adding tab spaces to make your output more organized and readable. The expected output is shown on the screen and will serve as your guide in creating the program. Remember that programming is a skill that improves through continuous practice. The more you practice writing code, the more confident and comfortable you will become in creating programs. Keep practicing the examples and activities from this lesson, and do not be afraid to experiment and learn from your mistakes. Thank you for watching this post-video tutorial. Keep coding, and see you in our next lesson.